Hello everyone, my name is Rosendo Fumero. I am a former undefeated U.S. champion. I have a world-class license when it comes to judging, examining, and I'm also an organizer for several events. And I'm here to talk to you today about a product that I wish that I would have had when I was dancing myself. Dancing is based on two principles. The first of those is posture. No matter what happens, the dancer must always maintain a perfect posture. Once we have posture, the second phase of your dancing is to move it across the floor as aggressive as possible without losing that poise and posture, because that is the key. When it comes to posture, perfect posture will always give you success. Perfect posture with movement makes you almost unbeatable in competitions, as an example. Now, bad posture with very little movement is always bad. Bad posture with a lot of movement is even worse. Okay, so being aware then of how important posture is, be aware that there's also two types of posture. We have what we call the individual posture, which must be held 100% of the time. That posture can never be lost. We have a second type of posture, and that is called the team posture. The team posture does not replace individual posture. It simply adds. What do we add? Two things. We add contact of the body, and once we have contact of the body, we add separation of the body. Once we have that posture, individual and team, the second phase of your dancing kicks in, and that is movement, distance. When we add movement and distance, we have to realize there's four basic types of actions. We have what we call the power actions. The power actions initiates all movement. Following power, we have what we call the swing action. The swing action is the continuation of power. When we have power and swing combined and we had rotation too, we have to be able to control it. We control it by applying sway. Sway is what controls, manipulates, redirects, or stops the power swing. And then we have what we call the recover action. The recover action takes everything you've just done back to neutral to start the process all over again. Knowing those four actions, the most important one is the power one, because that initiates all the movement. So to have successful power, we have to realize what creates it. And there's four basic actions that we use simultaneous. The first of those actions, I'm going to put them in an order for you, but understand all four happen at the exact same time and all four are equally important. The first of those four actions is to move your blocks. There's three blocks of the body. First, we have the head and neck that always moves on its own. We have the torso that moves on its own, and we have the base that moves on its own. At the highest level of dance, they never move together, they always move in opposition. Meaning this, if I rotate my torso this way, I counter with the head and the base. I can never go head and torso, I can never go torso and base. They're always opposing each other, so they're always doing this type of an action. However, when they move across the floor, they have to move as three units that are stacked on top of each other. So they might be kind of rotating, but they still have to stay stacked across on top of each other as they're moving across the floor. The only way we can achieve that is if we move from the only part of the body that physically runs all the way to the neck, to the torso, and to the base, and that is the spine. So anytime we move from A to B, we must always move that entire spine without losing it. We cannot think about moving to the legs, or we end up taking the hips underneath. We can't move from the hips, we can't move from the chest or the head. The entire spine must move as a unit. To move that spine as strong as possible, we have to use what we call the supported leg. That's the second action that we use on the power action. And the supported leg, what we say about that is we always say that the quality of a power step is always directly related to how long we use the supported leg, foot, and heel. Now the key words right there is how much time we use it, how long we use it, not how much time we stay on it. Because a lot of times people say, stay on your supported leg as long as possible. But the minute that my spine starts to move, I'm no longer over that supported leg. So what do? I have to use it. How do I use it? Easy. By keeping the heel down as long as possible. So as the spine is moving, that back heel stays on the floor as long as possible. That heel stays down until I reach a full stride. Once I reach a full stride, I release the front foot. Once I release the front foot, I release the back heel. So now two things are happening on the power action. One is we're moving the spine, and two, we're using that supported leg as long as possible to get as much distance with the spine. When you combine those two elements together, you start to get tremendous power. So the third actually kicks in, the reaching leg. That reaching leg will do two things. The first thing that the reaching leg does is it must extend far enough to catch that much movement. In other words, if you try to move your spine and use your supporting leg and don't take a long enough step, you'll overpower. You have to make sure you extend the leg far enough to catch it. Now that reaching leg will do two things. One is it will extend to catch the spine, but the second thing that it does is it has to articulate. When we talk about articulation, we start going into a new thing called footwork. And I'm sure we've all heard about footwork. What is footwork? How important is it? And what does it do? Footwork is your heels and toes, toes and your toe heels. So whether we're talking smooth or whether we're talking land, footwork is what your feet are doing. Whether it's a ball flat, a heel toe, a toe, that's what footwork is. Now, how important is it and what does it do? Footwork is the technique that matches our body's rise and fall. When footwork is incorrect, the bodies are constantly clashing. They're not matching each other. So we must maintain footwork. How important is it? If you're in a competition and you're off time, it's an automatic last place. If you're in a competition and you're off time and you're uncontested, you're still not going to win. The best will give you the second place, but if you're off time, you're done. If you're in a competition and your footwork is incorrect, just hope that there's somebody off time, otherwise you're going to be in last place. So that is how important footwork is. Well, in footwork, for instance, in the waltz, footwork in the waltz is a heel toe action, right? So if I do a heel toe, there's different ways I can do it. I can either go just a heel toe, or I can go a heel toe. The second one being more accurate. Why? Because the footwork of a heel toe is not just a heel toe, it goes heel, whole foot, toe, ankle, knee, thigh, hip, body before I take the second step. And of all those actions, the most important one is the use of the ankle. The ankle is what connects the foot to the leg, so you always have to work through the ankles. In smooth, it goes heel, toe, ankle. In rhythm and Latin, it goes ball, ankle. Ball, ankle. You've got to work those ankles. If you don't, you're dancing on flat feet. Okay? Once we have power, the second action we have to add to it is swing. What is swing? Swing is the continuation of power. Everything I did on the power step, I'm going to repeat on the swing. On the power step, I move my spine. On the swing step, I must continue to move the spine. On a power step, it's a long reaching step. On a swing step, it's also a long reaching step. On a power step, I think about having rise by using my ankles. On the swing step, I must continue the rise by continue using the ankle. Once we have added the power and swing, if we add rotation, we have to add the third element called sway. What does sway do? Sway is what controls the power swing action, whether it's to stop it or change direction. So if I try to do a power swing and turn and nothing else, I will lose control. So what do I have to do? I have to use my sway to control that power swing action. Visually, sway is the elevation of one hip or the other. But in truth, what picks the hip up? The use of the ankle. The ankle picks up the hip picks up the side of the body, which is what changes your direction. Now, what we say about sway is we say that the quality of the power step is always directly related by how I use my swing and sway. Sway will control, manipulate, redirect, or stop the power swing. Sway can be dangerous because if I start adding early sway, I actually stop my swing. Sway must be added at the end of the swing to be able to change the direction. Once we have all of those four, then we add the recover. What is the recover? The recover is basically taking all those actions back to neutral to start the process all over again. So in order of importance, number one is your poise and your posture. You must maintain poise and posture throughout. Once we have poise and posture, whether it's individual or team, then we add the distance. To add distance, we have to understand power to start the movement, swing to continue the movement, sway to control, manipulate, redirect, and stop the swing, and recover to start the process all over. But the concept of posture and movement of that posture without losing it is what we'll always try to achieve and look for in a dancer. Thank you once more. I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video.